Anita Ross here, author, speaker, and self-love coach, bringing you this week's workshop entitled Loving Your Body Now. Loving your body now as opposed to some conditional or unmotivating and perhaps even unrealistic date in the future. Because we do that to ourselves. We say, hey, when I lose that weight or when I look that way, that's when I love my body. And we're going to look at today, why do we do that to ourselves? What really gets in our way and influences us and takes us away from loving our bodies? We're going to also take a look at how to address those things. And I'm going to leave you with 5 powerful tips for no kidding, right here and right now, understanding the importance of loving your body and how to do so. Sound good? All right, here we go. So I chose this topic because we're about to go into the holiday season. And if you're anything like me, you are planning on cooking some delicious food as well as eating some delicious food. And perhaps loafing off with friends and family. And here's what you don't want. You don't want a side of guilt, shame, or regret alongside that. You just don't. That takes away from the joy of it. But we do that to ourselves. We make ourselves feel guilty for eating the thing or not working out or not getting exercise. And that is a negative behavior that shows we are not loving ourselves right here and right now. And let's face it, that transcends the holiday season, right? It's a human thing. We are hard on our bodies and hard on ourselves about our bodies. I remember when I was growing up as a teenager and a young woman, and I was so impressionable. I was so negative about my body because it didn't look a certain way. It didn't fit my clothes a certain way. I couldn't do certain things that other people did, and I wanted to be able to do them. And so I was negative thinking, negative choices that I made because I didn't feel like I was enough. I remember having an eating disorder and the impact and the havoc that caused. And it wasn't until I did some inner work to understand that there were a lot of outside influences that had me thinking this way. And there were a lot of influences that once I realized that this was happening, they weren't true for me. It was that point I was able to strike a balance. I was able to say, well, you know what? I do love eating good foods because I don't want to diet all the time. I want to establish a healthy lifestyle. And that means striking a balance. And so once I got to know who I am, that got more and more clear for me. Right? So we want to be able to strike a balance that stems from authenticity, not all the noise that comes from outside. We want to move from focusing out and how we do that, let that negatively influence us to leading from within. Right? It's from within that we will find the vision for our, what I call, dream body. Our dream body is one that reflects living authentically and loving doing so. Isn't that amazing? Our dream body stems from living authentically and loving ourselves doing so. I love that. So, but what are some of those things that prevent us from doing that? From preventing us from living authentically? What gets in our way? What creates that noise? I want to go through some of those things. The first and foremost is societal expectations. We are bombarded with imagery on a regular basis that shows how we're supposed to look, what our bodies are supposed to do, what we're supposed to wear. And it comes in so many ways. It comes through magazines, through TV shows, through social media, through movies, through celebrities, and this emphasis on what celebrities look like. That if we don't have representation showing that how we look and our bodies and our body types are okay as well, then we can start thinking incorrectly. We can start thinking we're not enough. Oh, this ain't it. It's supposed to look like that. And I think that society is coming along in that regard. I think we're seeing more and more representation in regards to body types, body sizes, and how we look and how we should dress, but not quickly enough, in my opinion. We want to be able to see ourselves out there, especially young people, because we're growing up so impressionable, and we want to be able to see what's possible for us. All right? So that's one thing. Also, people in our lives, okay? So especially people who are close to us, like our parents, our intimate partners, our friends, and just remembering that even though society's coming a long way, our parents grew up with even more influence and less representation. And so they might raise us thinking that the way to be successful is to look a certain way, right? So even though they were doing the best and doing what they know to be the best, it's on us to like deprogram some of the things that we were taught. I remember always, coming home from college break and my family would say, "Oh, you gained weight. Oh my God, you need to lose weight." Or sometimes I would come home after a rough semester and they'd be like, "You need to eat a sandwich. Come on." My Puerto Rican family would cook it up. But it was always this emphasis on size. And again, when I struck that balance, it was not about size anymore for me. It was about strength. I'm really into strength goals. And I think that is, I know that it's more authentic for me, and it's a more positive way of looking at things versus how we look and what size we are. Okay? Also, I want to make the distinction that sometimes our friends and intimate partners do it inadvertently, right? So if you're talking with a friend and they're like, "Oh my God, look at this image on top of this magazine. Doesn't they look really amazing?" And they look a certain way. They may not realize that they're influencing you, because you might say, "Oh yeah, maybe I should look more like that." Should. Can't stand the word should, right? Don't should on me. But they don't mean to do that. And there's a distinction. So if you have a partner that might say, "You know what? You gotta lose weight, or you gotta change the way your body looks," there's a difference. Okay, so some people mean to do it and some people don't mean to do it. Okay, but it is always on us to decipher what's true for us. Okay, all right, because people will give their opinions, I can guarantee. The other thing is our functionality, what our body can do and what maybe it can't do. So we see people out there succeeding. Olympians can do amazing things, or actresses who might fit a particular body size that society says, is for actresses. Then we say, "Oh, well, I want to be able to do that. Can I do that?" So functionality, what can I do, what I can't do, can make us feel a certain way. And then also changes. Gosh, like aging. I know for me, when I was younger, all the havoc that I wreaked on my body and how negative I was, didn't treat it well. That was then, and my body could recuperate and do whatever it is I wanted to do. Not so much anymore. I get to tend to my body, and that's due to the aging process. And I was fighting it for a little while and not doing certain things like drinking way more water. That's that much more important. Resting after workouts and this, that, and the other. I started to roll with it because I realized if I don't get in alignment with my body and what it's telling me, could cause trouble. So we can either accept aging and changes to our bodies, or and move with it, or it can be troublesome, and it gets into our mind and can wreak havoc that way as well. Also, if we have a health challenge, that can be a change, or something that can cause some sort of disability. It's the same thing. It can make us feel bad or less than. But if it's a part of our new experience, it's on us to say, "Okay, well, how am I going to roll with this? How am I going to be authentic with this?" Right? Does that make sense? All right. So all that to say, when those things, those kind of various things that, or people that impact us, happen, and we allow them to create these feelings of less than or not enoughness, or we should be this way and that way, what happens is we start creating these plans on how to make those changes, right? This is why people do diets and they try this or they try that, exercise routines, and sometimes they're just not a match. You ever been there? Like, that didn't work, or you see results and then you start not seeing results. We fluctuate, or we're miserable doing it. We find ourselves grumpy because it's like, well, that's because those plans are based on those erroneous thoughts. They're based on what people think about us or what we should look like. But again, we want to shift from that place, so externally led, to inwardly led. We want to create the plan for our dream body, that body that represents who we are from inside. Switching from externally led to inwardly led. Isn't that powerful? So allowing our authentic self, our authentic desires to lead us. Remember, as I said earlier, I like to eat good foods, and not all of them are healthy for me. So how do I strike that balance? And that was my question to answer. And you want to be able to do those things for yourself. And so I want to give you key information that's going to allow you to do so. Okay? And one of the things, and one of the places I want to start, is to understand that everybody's body is different. Everyone's body is different, whether we like it or not. And there are some things or factors, if you will, that we want to take into account. So the first key is kind of understanding this. All right? And I'm going to read out of my book, Meantime Love. So I've got Self-Love Now What, where I share some of those distinctions of our bodies. All right? The first one is that we all have a different body type. We have ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, and those are different body types in regards to how our muscle and bone structures are put together. Okay, so you can look those up, but there's ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorphs, and that's just how we were born, the type of body that we were born with. Okay, attributes. So these are factors that like age, gender, heredity. So if we've inherited anything, different attributes of our bodies, as well as habits play a factor, right? So exercise, how much we exercise or don't exercise, how we eat, right? Various diets, right? So now there's like all these different ways we can eat: vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, pescatarian, where you only eat fish and vegetables. But there's a lot of different things to consider, or diet styles to consider, and those impact our bodies. Also, self-talk is a habit. How we talk about our bodies, right? Believe it or not, when we talk highly of our body, we raise the vibration of our body. And when we talk negatively, it is a negative impact on our bodies. How about challenges is another factor. So whether we have a particular disability or a disease or a sickness that is affecting our bodies. And then also the purposes that we serve is another factor, right? So we all have gifts that we're given with, that we're given that we're born with, and sometimes when we're in tune with that, we start utilizing our bodies for it. For example, if you're a runner, Olympians who do the different types of sports, or a dancer. I think of my youngest daughter who can do all these acrobatic tricks. It's amazing. Her flexibility is incredible. And I'm always like, well, you certainly didn't get that from mommy. And she didn't. That's her own thing. It's a gift that she has received, and she's choosing to dance and evolve that talent of hers. Well, her body aligns with that. It looks a certain way. It's flexible in a certain way. And that's the case with any purpose that we serve. Okay? So whether you're a dancer, a professional athlete, some other things. I mean, there's plenty. There's, if you're a construction worker, if you're a speaker, there's all different things that would call on or draw on your body to look a certain way, feel a certain way, and be a certain way, right? So that's something to take into account. We want to take into account that our bodies are unique to ourselves based on different factors and how we live life and what we are born with or not. We all have different bodies. And so it's important to understand, but also to love and accept that these are the aspects of your body. Right? When we talk about habits, that's something that we can change, right? There's some things that we can change, right? We can change our purpose in life. If, as we get older, we may not be a dancer anymore, but then what do you want to do next, right? It's understanding you can change some things, but you want to love and accept your body as it is, because otherwise it's not going to want to cooperate with you. One of the things that I learned is the power of my words and my thoughts. And I can change my habits all day long, but if I didn't think highly of my body or speak highly of my body, it was very challenging to get it to work for me, to comply, if you will, to do the things that I want to do, right? And so it's really important to have a vision for your dream body. When we're talking about having our body align with our authentic self, that's really what our body does. It allows us to move through this authentic life, right? And one of the things I just want to take a moment and really pause on is when we're talking about loving and accepting our body, I really want you to get in tune with what your body does for you. I want you to start having some gratitude for your body. The fact that our body will do so many things without us having even to make it do that, like blood flow, breathing, some of the things that we take for granted, walking, right? If you can walk, if you can breathe, if you can, understand the blood is flowing through your body, you might just be like, wow, you do all that for me? You do all that for me? Thank you. I love you for that. Dive deep into gratitude for the body that you have. It has gotten you here. It has prevailed through all that you've been through up to this point, alongside you, okay? And I want you to step into gratitude for that. I think that will allow you to love and accept your body as it is. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. And I want to make sure that we understand that we take some of these things for granted. Not everybody can walk with ease. Not everybody can walk. Not everybody can see. Not everybody can hear. And so if you understand what your body is doing for you, you'll get into deep gratitude for it. And at the end of the day, like I said, it has gotten you this far. And so if you speak highly about your body, if you treat it well, it's only going to take you further. Isn't that exciting? I find it very exciting. So I had to take a moment to pause and be with you on that. Because we can lose sight. We can lose sight of all the good that our body has done. With limitations or without limitations. Okay? So now kind of circling back to this idea of our dream body. Again, dream body is one that stems from living authentically and enjoying it. Right? So it's important to have that vision. And so I want to take a look real quickly. Now I'm going to get my first book, which is Meantime Love, A Woman's Journey from Self-Loathe to Self-Love. And we're going to take a look at our health worksheet. Okay? And I just want to share some of the questions because they're so deep and can help you create that vision. So the first one that I have there is, what does your body feel like? What does it feel like? When you breathe in, does it feel good? When you touch your body, does it feel good? Do you want it to feel soft and plush? Do you want it to feel hard and muscular? How do you want it to feel? Okay? The next one is, what does your body look like? Not based on erroneous beliefs, but based on what it is you want. Right? It's really important to decipher that. When you fill out this worksheet, these questions, or when you answer these types of questions, you want to answer from what it is you truly desire, not what it is you think you should be like, look like, have. Okay? The next one is, what actions do you take to tend to your body? So do you eat a certain way? Do you do a certain amount of exercise? Do you relax on a certain regular basis? Do you get massages? Do you take baths? How do you tend to your body? Right? Do you say nice things to your body? Okay. What is your exercise routine? What are your eating habits? What is your body capable of? Remember I talked about strength? I remember setting a goal to be able to squat 220 pounds. And I exceeded it. I got up to being able to squat 245. And it took me a while. It took like a year to build up to that. But I set a goal. This is what I want to be capable of. I didn't set a goal to try to do what my daughter does. Because, again, I understand my body. And I'm not going to be able to do that. And I'm okay with that. And I'm just using that as an example because I shared it already. But I think that we do that to ourselves sometimes. We get some unrealistic goals of what our body's capable of. And then we can allow it to make us feel bad about ourselves. Again, when we're talking about vision, we want it to be something we strive for. So please don't hear me when I say unrealistic. I just want you to understand that all our bodies are different, and we get to take that into account. But, if I want to take flexibility classes and get more and more flexible, that's not, that can be a goal of mine. But I chose the strength goal. And I'm consistently evolving as well. What, if any, are your health challenges, and how do you address them? Do you address them as a hindrance and they hold you back? Or do you understand that you're experiencing them and here's what I get to accomplish anyway? Okay? So again, really painting the pictures. And there's a lot more questions in the book, but I wanted to share those because those can get you started in a big, big way. They're a big piece of the pie. So you want you want the vision to be so delicious that you go for it, right? What are some of our drivers, right? So what is the benefit of having a healthy body and having a healthy appreciation for your body, right? And this is something you want to think of because, again, it is unique for you. One of the things that I want is to live a long life and be with my children as long as possible. And so I make choices that align with that. I eat a certain way, I exercise a certain way, but I also understand for me that the treats get to be there. I remember trying I did vegan, so I did no chocolate chip cookies with real butter, and that doesn't work for me. Because I tell you, being miserable is just as unhealthy as eating the cookie. But I think it's really important to understand moderation, right? You get to have what you want, but have a balance. Okay? Now, there are some people, I have people in my lives that eat no sugar. They're like, I can't eat that has sugar. I'm like, okay, well, I'll eat it. Calm down. But they're okay with that. But the minute that it becomes more of like an obsession, you might want to take a look at, okay, why am I doing this? Am I fearful that if I eat sugar, I might get hurt or I don't know. right? You just want to make sure that everything's stemming from authenticity. Because if it's not, it's in error. And if it's in error, it could negatively impact us. Some ways are more obvious, like an eating disorder or like being really negative and making choices that don't honor our bodies. And some might not be. Some might not be very obvious. So it's important to really sift through what is true for you. And so you want to understand what your drivers are. Why is this important? Because at the end of the day, you can have a vision all you want, but if you're not driven to go achieve it, then guess what? You might not succeed, right? So again, for me, it was like living a long life for my children, but some people just want to feel good on the inside and out. Super important. You might have a goal. Like for me, I had set a goal to run a marathon at one point. So you might, that might be a driver. Having fun with your friends, being able to do some of the things that your friends love to do. Perhaps it's sports, perhaps it's, I don't know, whatever, a baking class. You want to make sure that you understand why you want to achieve this and why you want to do this. Okay? And when you do that, you'll start seeing the distinction or the delineation, if you will, of erroneous thoughts versus what's real for you. Okay? So important, and it can be really, really exciting. Yeah? So let's go into the 5 powerful steps for ensuring you love your body right here and right now. Okay? First one is weed out the erroneous beliefs about your body and habits, then uproot them. Let me say that again. Weed out erroneous beliefs about your body and your habits, and then uproot them. Okay? So you want to take the time to see, well, what is influencing me here? Why am I believing this about my body or the way it should be versus who I am? Right? Or when we're talking about how we treat our bodies, that comes into where the habits are. Then you want to take a look at these. What are these stemmed in? What are these rooted in? And be able to pull those out. Okay? So when we're talking about, let me just do a common habit, exercise. Exercising or not exercising. You want to take a look at what is beneath that, what is underneath that. Why don't I exercise? It could be because it's not fun for you. Make it fun. Be creative. It's a game changer. But if you look at your exercise routine as doom and gloom and dread, guess what? You won't do it. All right? So that's what we mean by weeding out the erroneous beliefs. Like, oh, that exercise has to be doom and gloom. No. Maybe it can be fun. And then align with that. So that's the next step. The next step is, So once you understand the habits, then you want to make sure that you shift them authentically, okay, based on your vision. Step 2 is acknowledge your body on a regular basis. Remember when I talked about it can raise the vibration? It will. Hey, shoulder, I love you. Hey, eyes, thank you for allowing me to see the world, allowing me to see my children, allowing me to look in the eyes of my partner, right? Acknowledge your body on a regular basis, right? One of the things we're really hard on ourselves is like our stomachs, right? But like, acknowledge it anyway. Maybe you'll raise the vibration of it. Maybe when you do your crunches, you attempt to do crunches, it'll cooperate more. And I'm just making random examples, but acknowledge your body on a regular basis. Find a way to make that and build that into your routine, okay? And that will help shift some of the negative talk, okay? Step 3 is do it because it's what you desire and no other reason. Do it because it's what you desire and no other reason. This is so important. This is why eating healthy or eating the way is healthy for you that you prefer to eat is so hard sometimes to navigate because we're doing it for other reasons. We're doing it because our vegan friend said this is how you're supposed to eat. God, vegan is no fun. But there are people who love it and there are people who don't love it, right? So do it for you, whatever the reason is for you. Step 4 is step outside of your comfort zone, okay? When I'm going to use the analogy of building muscle, and I'm going to read this passage, which is again from Meantime Love, so I've got self-love, now what? And it says, in order for a muscle to grow, it must be pushed beyond its current capability. At that point, the muscle actually breaks down, and most of the time, this is when it will create an experience of soreness for us. You ever been sore after a workout and like, ouch? Then the muscle mends itself, we feel better, and it becomes stronger. Everything in your life worth being, doing, and having calls for you to become the person it takes to make it happen. Achieving your dream body is no exception to the rule. As in building muscles, you will be required to push yourself beyond your norm. Then you will probably experience some discomfort, right? That's outside of that comfort zone. You'll undergo a transformation and ultimately you will produce results. You may as well enjoy the ride. So just like a muscle, in order for it to grow, it's going to be uncomfortable. But that's where the magic happens. So be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And then the last step, which is so important, praise yourself when you do good. Praise yourself when you do good. And release disappointment, guilt, and shame when you don't. They don't help you. They make you feel worse and they have you spiral out into a hole. So acknowledge yourself when you do good. And then release any guilt, shame, and do the work. If you get stuck, seek support. But you are worthy of releasing the guilt, the shame, the regret, so that you can truly live from this place of understanding that you have your dream body in all its glory, in all its perfection, and all of its authenticity. Know that that's the body you're meant to have. And when you live authentically, it can truly, truly, truly feel like your dream body. You are enough. You are perfect as you are. And these are just ways for you to acknowledge that and be your best self and allow your body to truly be a reflection of who you are on the inside.